Hey homeschoolers, I'm Melissa Webb, former full-time classroom teacher and homeschool mom turned full-time business CEO and encourager to homeschool families everywhere. I am determined and dedicated to helping you. Yes, I want to give you sound, educational, practical tips and advice, at the same time making sure that you're enjoying the family journey that you are on. So if you are looking for a place to be encouraged and inspired, you have found the perfect podcast. Homeschooling is a work of heart, is truly the perfect place to start. So welcome. Let's jump in. Well, hello there, homeschoolers. I was at a coaching conference this week with my business coach, Jody Moore. I just love her to pieces. If you do not listen to her podcast, Better Than Happy, you should. She's amazing. And I do pay for her program. I think she has helped me greatly choose less stinking thinking. And I highly encourage you to also have a coach of some sort. I mean, maybe I help you with some of that. That's great. I love that I can be here for that. I think what goes around comes around. But maybe it's your spouse or your sister or your mom or your best friend, somebody who helps you think about your thinking. I don't think that's something we should be doing just by ourselves. I do a lot of it by myself, but I also like to pull in the help of others. But here's the thing, like I have all those other people, right? But the family and friend group, they tend to coddle me. Whereas Jody, that's not her job. Her job is to act as my mirror, and she reflects back what she hears me believing. And she calls me out. She questions me, which can sometimes be uncomfortable. Sometimes I find myself wanting to fight back and justify. But here's the thing, it works. It does work. And at this conference, there were maybe 70, 75 of us. Many shared their personal struggles. It wasn't all business related things. People shared about struggles in their marriage or with their younger children, with their older children, with their weight. One woman in particular had said, okay, well, I have a fact that I'm really struggling with. And Jody was like, what's that fact? And she said, well, I'm in my 60s and I weigh 200 pounds. And I mean, she's on the mic and she's getting group coached. Talk about vulnerability. I mean, did your stomach just drop thinking about the amount of courage that would take to say that in front of a group of people? This is a very warm, wonderful group of people, and we all do these practices. So I know she obviously felt safe, and that's great. But I still say that was brave of her. And the thing is, we all have struggles from time to time in our lives. But so many of us hide them or bury them in what I picture as this invisible backpack. Is heavy, and we just sling it up and over our shoulders, and we carry it silently and sadly. Like there's just this part of us. We just don't want to air that room out. Like that we're just going to keep to ourselves. You know what I'm talking about? Many homeschool moms share these kinds of struggles with me, and they have over the years. So I don't know, have you ever judged your child? Maybe your child's reading ability. You're thinking it shouldn't be where it is, or their resistance with writing, or their math meltdowns. Have you struggled with these things and gone straight to, maybe I'm the problem? I think so many of us do this. If you've ever caught yourself saying, I just think if I were better at this, if I were a better teacher, if I were a better mom, if I were a better anything, my child would be doing so much better. She'd be further along by now. Now, I don't know what your struggles are, But I know whatever they are, you have some amazing facts to back it up. You could give me a long list of facts, of evidence, proof that you're like, no, this really is a terrible fact that I'm living with. And I'm not going to disagree with you. That is your thought, and you get to keep it. But all the same, I just want to remind you that you can practice detachment from some of those facts that are just leading you down a road that's going to take you to negative thoughts. And where do negative thoughts take us? To negative feelings. I mean, how are those serving us? They're not. We can't avoid them. They just pop into our head. But once we notice them with some intentionality, we can work on them. So I want to ask you a simple but powerful question this week. And that is, what if whatever it is that isn't going the way you want? Think of what it is. What if whatever that is actually is not your fault? And I want you to stick with me on this one. Your brain's going to maybe want to fight a little bit. We're going to take a deep dive. And I already know, like many of you are like, yeah, but if it's not my fault, whose fault is it? We know it has to be somebody's fault. Somebody's here to blame. Who blames? Who can I put at fault here? There's just something about human beings that we want it to be someone's fault. But maybe it's no one's fault. Maybe it just is what it is. There are learning differences. There are developmental timelines, and even some outdated educational expectations in the realm of homeschooling that could be causing you to carry this homeschool weight that was never yours to hold. And again, I'm going to give some homeschool examples, but you can take some time and relate this to whatever your struggle is. Maybe it's a similar weight problem to this other woman that I met, or a marriage or a relationship issue. Like whatever it is, just imagine if where it is and whatever problems, you can't see my air quotes, but I have air quotes, whatever problems, it's nobody's fault. It's nobody's fault. Now, I'm not saying that we can't do things differently or perhaps even do things better, whatever that means, but we are where we are. And choosing a negative thought or fact, why? If it's not serving us, that's what I want you to question. That's what I want you to think about this week. Now, I'm going to talk about kids and learning first, and I do have a few reminders for all of you amazing homeschoolers. I want you to pull from today's episode anything that stands out to you, and then imagine putting it in your personal toolbox of life. We all have life to get through. And I don't know about you, but I've needed a toolbox for the majority of my life. As soon as I was in charge of taking care of myself, I've needed a toolbox because sometimes things need to be fixed, specifically my thinking. So these are tools, and I want you just to grab any and all that resonate with you today and just sit with it and allow it to marinate, I suppose, and see if you can't release some of the blame and shame game that I know many of you mamas carry around. So the first reminder I have for you is just to remember that the human brain grows at different rates. You know that. Brains grow at different rates. It's how it is. That's the design. It's how it's supposed to be because it's how it is. Not all children bloom at exactly the same time. It's not like, oh, my child is now 11 months old and 23 days. It's the day to walk. No. Children are going to get there when they get there. Some children walk before a year, others after a year, or sometime around there, and some kids don't learn to walk till they're 2 or 3. Same with reading. Some kids, I actually had a friend whose daughter started reading when she was 3 years old, and she practically self-taught herself. Crazy, right? And then a lot of kids learn around the age of 5, but I've had students that aren't reading until they're 8, and some even later than that. Okay, it's nobody's fault. Everybody blooms at their own time. I want you to breathe. I want to tell you that there are studies that show many of the late readers, when they catch up, they often surpass those who read at an early age. This usually happens around 3rd or 4th grade. And all of a sudden, not only is everybody reading now, but some of those who really struggled through are the same ones who have higher levels of comprehension of what they read. Probably because they've been at it for so long. And they've been practicing in so many different ways. They've been taking in so much information. So don't think that you missed something or that you did something wrong or that it's your fault. Just embrace that your child is walking a different path than other children. And that's okay. It's nobody's fault. It just is. The second reminder that I have for you this week is to remember that if you have a child that has some learning challenges, which most of us do, those learning challenges are not a reflection of your personal failure. Having dysgraphia, dyslexia, ADHD, anxiety, these are not a sign that you're doing something wrong. These are neurodiverse wiring patterns. That's what they are. They're not a reflection of you. They're not a reflection of how well you're teaching or educating your child or loving your child. There's a great book, children's book. It's a chapter book. I'd call it a young adult, probably 5th grade, 6th grade for sure, 7th grade. It's called Fish in a Tree. Have you read this with your kids? To make a good novel unit. Maybe I'll use this one and create a novel unit for you guys. It's by Linda Hunt, and it's about a young girl. I think she's 6th grade, 7th grade maybe, and she lives in her town, but her teacher is going on maternity leave and a substitute teacher is coming in. And this main character, the protagonist, has dysgraphia, so she has trouble writing. Letters get mixed up. They all seem like a jumble to her. And so she's kind of figured out how to work her teacher. But then this new teacher comes in and he's calling her out. What's really great is he shares a wonderful quote by Albert Einstein, where he says, "Everybody is a genius. But if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing it is stupid." True, right? Fish are not intended to climb trees. Monkeys would be like, "Look how smart I am. Look at how great I am. I can climb this tree." And that poor fish is left behind being like, "I can't do that." But put them in the water. And all of a sudden, the fish is the genius. We have to find the ponds and the trees that our children need. And if these are any neurodiverse areas that you feel challenged by, I highly recommend you pick up that book, Fish in a Tree. I'll link it in the show notes. I have some other resources too for you this week. If you don't normally check the show notes, you may want to do that. But the third reminder I have for you is just to remember that you're homeschooling, and that's beautiful because you're giving your child what a system of learning really can't offer. You can practice grace. You can pace things differently, right? A classroom expects this uniformity, but homeschooling honors individuality. So stop thinking you're behind. Instead, be like, we're not behind. We're exactly where we're supposed to be. I know, because this is where we are. And then custom fit an educational plan. It takes time, of course, but when you tailor learning to each individual child in your home, you have to think of it as you're planting these seeds. And if you've ever planted seeds, you always see one's going to sprout first. They don't all sprout exactly at the same time. And there's always that one that you're like, is it ever going to sprout? And eventually it blooms. So Keep that analogy in your mind as well. You're planting the seeds, and that's as much as you can control. Water it, of course, tend to it, of course, show up. You don't want to neglect it, of course, but practice that patience. Don't just stare at it being like, why isn't it growing? What did I do wrong? What is my fault? Stop. And that is my fourth reminder. Let go of any blame you're carrying. I want you to embrace the truth. The truth is you are showing up. You know how I know you're showing up? You're here. You're seeking answers. You're listening to a podcast like this one. That alone proves you're not a problem maker. You're a solution finder. That's what that tells me about you. Do you agree? Are you a solution finder? Think about just different realms of life. Are you the person who shows up wanting to find the solutions? I just bet you are. I bet you are. So give yourself permission to find the solutions, learn alongside your child, and just love those kiddos. Encourage them. Practice patience along the way. You know, in the conference, I will tell you that Jody pointed out to this woman that while facts seem so important to us, like the lady who shared that she weighs 200 pounds now, Jody's point was, okay, got it. But if that fact is paving the way to negative thinking, like what do you think when you have that as your fact? Oh, I'm such a lost cause. I'm so fat. I'm never going to get to the weight I want. It creates negative thinking. And what do we get when we think negatively? The next step is to then feel negatively about ourselves. There's going to be feelings of sadness, depression. Maybe she's feeling discouraged. I don't know. How are you feeling when you think negatively? Like you're like, I think it's my fault that my child's not doing this. And again, I know you've got your facts. You could give me all kinds of evidence, all kind of proof. You could be like, yeah, we were told we needed to practice those third grade sight words every day for 10 minutes a day. And there were weeks that I took off and I didn't do it. That's my fault, right? That's what we want to say. Okay, so there's a fact. For 3 weeks, we did not practice our sight words. I'm not here to argue that that's not a fact, but what I am here to have you question is how is that fact serving you? Why are we holding on to what we didn't do for 3 weeks instead of saying, yeah, but you know what? For 12 weeks straight, we practiced before we took that break. Why do we do that? I just want you to think about it. I want you to detach yourself from the negative facts, the negative thinking, and ask yourself, yes, but what else is true? Like nobody's going to love your kiddos more than you do. You have time. Time's a gift. Or what about the thought, there's just so much more to life than benchmarks. We're growing in heart and soul over here. Doesn't that feel good? I want you to find it. Whatever it is, you have to find the thought or the thoughts that put you in a place of empowerment, not blame. I know you've got this. Make this your best semester ever. It's totally possible. Right on. Well, thanks so much for tuning in and listening this week. Hey, if this was something that you found valuable, don't forget you want to subscribe or follow so that every time a new episode is dropped, you'll be the first to know. And hey, before you go, if you are looking to get some of this academic writing under your belt and outsourced so that it's one less thing freeing you up to enjoy more time with your family, hey, you're going to want to head over to writeonweb.com to see what kinds of resources and materials I have available for you. I will look forward to seeing you there, and I will look forward to seeing you here in our next episode. Right on.